It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show! Hey everybody, it's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey gang.
And Les Webster.
Hello all.
How are you guys doing?
Tired.
Seems like it's been a long week already.
I feel you. I'm the same way. Hope everybody out there is having a good week. Hope everybody's doing okay. So, what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, I've actually been working a lot lately, so I just sort of chilled out this weekend. The one thing I did do, and I actually didn't do this on purpose, but I took advantage of the very rare, in fact, kind of once a year, half price books sale. They do a sale over Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went to 2 different half price books. And I kind of hadn't even planned on it the first time, and then the kid and I had like half an hour to kill, and there was a half price on the way where we were going, so we're like, screw it. So we stopped in there and bought a few books, and then later on, after we had ditched the kid, we were out and about, and I was a little disappointed in my haul from the first half price, so we actually ended up going to a second half price to find some other stuff. So I bought a bunch of books.
Woohoo!
Including some comics, so that was fun.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I was real surprised when I saw what I saw sitting there. I snatched it up.
Yes, please be vague, that's fine.
Yeah, no, what I found there was the first 2 trades of Harrow County.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, crap, I gotta get that. It's one of the ones on my list anyway to pick up, so yeah, snatch.
Well, congrats.
Good snag.
It's always nice to find something cool. It's not always a given, but it's always nice.
Alrighty, how about you, Les?
I looked at the shelf and I found Alien Legion, a couple of collections. So I started rereading that title from Epic years ago, I guess, and still thought it was good stuff. Thought it was pretty strong in the writing. The art was consistent. You didn't have big variations in how a character looked from page to page. I have been thoroughly enjoying it and looking forward to ordering another one of their collections.
Cool. All right. For me, I actually pulled out a trade from the past and kind of went back and started reading it a little bit. It was Warlord Savage Empire by Mike Grell. This is the collection of his stories from the first run of Warlord back in the 70s. And it was kind of cool to go back and look at that art and relive those stories, and thinking, wow, this could be a really fun movie or a series of movies. And who knows, maybe we might see that one day. And speaking of movies, as everybody knows, we just had a holiday, Labor Day weekend. I hope everybody had a fun, safe Labor Day weekend. I spent, in addition to working, took in a Jerry Lewis marathon. Of course, Jerry Lewis being a constant fixture for Labor Day, but with him passing, Turner Classic Movies did a marathon of his films during the evening, but one of the other networks was called Movies Network, Movies with a exclamation point network, was doing one all day, and was kind of checking those out while I was working at the store. It was kind of fun. It was interesting checking some of those out. Some of them I had not seen before. One note I would say is from the film Ladies Man, which is I think one of the first ones that he actually directed. And the reason I brought that up was when y'all get a moment, y'all need to go just Google Jerry Lewis Ladies Man, and especially go to the images. You will see the 4-story building he had built on the set, kind of a dollhouse mansion, and this is where most of the film takes place. It is very impressive, and according to Wikipedia, which take it for that you don't know how exactly some of that information is from time to time, but supposedly it cost $350,000 back in the day to build that house so he can be able to do what he wanted to do for the film. It's a very impressive set. But the films were fun. They were funny. I don't know if something like that could work nowadays because of kind of the humor that happens nowadays. Yeah,
kind of a product of its time.
But yeah, it definitely was. But just kind of a chance to enjoy his work again, because that's not, you don't really see a lot of his films played a lot.
So did they show any of the ones with Dean Martin?
There was a couple. There was one, I can't remember the name of it right now, but where he was, him and Dean were being played as patsies for a jewel heist, and the jewel robber was, out of all people, Raymond Burr.
Oh yeah. He was well known in movies as a villain.
Well, that's true.
He did a lot of villain work before he started playing Perry Mason.
Right. Well, I mean, one of his most famous ones is Rear Window.
Right.
So, but yeah, there was a couple of Martin Lewis's, and I told Les that I had never seen a Martin and Lewis film. Most of the films I've seen were just Lewis by himself.
You mentioned that on the show a week or two ago.
Oh, did I? Okay. All right. I didn't remember if I had covered that or not.
Yeah. That's why I asked. I knew the listening audience was just champing at the bit to know the answer to that.
I'm sure.
One of the premium stations has a documentary that was done prior to his passing. And it looked into a lot of the different styles. The fact that he was doing his producing and then his directing. It was really good.
He was the one that created video playback. That he had it set up to where it would do a video while he filmed, and then he can immediately go back and watch what they filmed, and go from there, decide whether or not he wants to, do a new take or whatever. He was one of the ones. He was like the first one to do that.
Oh wow!
That's right.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because he mounted a camera on the side of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So it would shoot everything that was being filmed.
Yep. So it was kind of fun going back, watching some of those. God, I think I saw Nutty Professor twice that day. Probably. They really like playing that one.
That's one of the kind of best known.
That's the big one. But it was great. I mean, it was especially the sequence where he first transformed. Not just him showing up as what he would be eventually named Buddy Love, but just him the actual transformation and the different color faces and all that kind of stuff. That was,
Yeah, if I've seen that movie, it's been a really long time.
yeah.
I have trouble. I have trouble distinguishing between that and the Eddie Murphy one. That's how long it's been since I've seen both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the Eddie Murphy one was, I don't know, kind of forgettable. And so,
For the most part, I mean, the whole thing was that him basically being an overweight, nice guy to all of a sudden he's sleek and sexy and got the ego the size of Mount Rushmore. Where, I mean, Buddy Love was kind of the same thing, except for
except they're from a different time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, oh god, I'm blanking on what the name of the professor was, the scientist was. But he was just kind of this goofy, squeaky voice, just unassuming kind of a geek. So yeah, like you said, of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Lewis's character,
Yeah,
was Professor Kelp.
that's right, Kelp. Well, yeah, that's the name. That's the name of the character for Eddie Murphy too. So that's right.
I thought it was Clump.
Was it Clump?
I thought they changed it to Clump.
For Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you see how, like you said, it was forgettable.
It was forgettable. Well,
got the name.
And they also, I mean, again, changed it kind of to make it more relevant for the early 90s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, minor little things that they changed that are different but not very different, so it makes it easy to conflate the two. But anyway.
Yeah.
I digress.
And like I told you, Thomas, the man could find some beautiful women for his movies.
Yeah. Definitely agree with that one.
We're still talking about Jerry Lewis, or are we talking about Eddie Murphy now?
Jerry Lewis.
Because I was thinking that was Jada Pinkett. Am I crazy?
I'm not sure.
Nor does it matter in the least.
Right. So anyway.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Cool.
Before we get into this week's topics, I want to take a couple of minutes to thank our sponsors for their support. First off, want to say thank you to Peter Smeddy of Alterna Comics and his digital catalog, Make Mine Indie. The summer catalog is still out for now, but the fall one should be coming out here in the next couple of weeks. Be interested in seeing what's going to be in that one. For those who don't know what Make Mine Indie, it's a free digital catalog that contains print, digital, and web comics. They're currently available. Most are only available through the publisher websites. The summer catalog is 147 pages. It includes previews, reviews, interviews, a lot of good stuff. If you go to our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, and click on our sponsors tab, you'll see the logo for Make Mine Indie. And you can click on a link and you can download the free either PDF or CBZ file and check it out. You never know what you might find. Mikey and I have done several reviews for some of the books, and I know there's some that we would definitely love to check out, so you should go check it out. Also want to thank the fine folks at Things from Another World for being a sponsor of the Fellowship. Some of the deals they are running right now are basically their evergreen deals. Massive 40% off on comics, statues, toys, and merchandise. 30% off select pre-order manga titles. And 50% off Nick and Dit comics and graphic novels. So while you're on our sponsors page, just scroll down to the bottom. You'll see information for Things from Another World, and there's some links that will take you to their website. And also lets them know that we sent you their way. So please take advantage of some of these great deals that are going on. Alrighty. So for this week, we're going to have a little fun looking back. And it's kind of ironic that, maybe not ironic, it's not the right word, but just kind of interesting coincidence that the day that we record the subject matter actually happens to be the day it debuted. 25 years ago today, a little cartoon debuted and became a phenomenal hit, and it's still beloved to this day, obviously. And that animated series is called Batman, starring Kevin Conroy as Bruce Wayne Batman. I don't even want to go through all the freaking talent that was in there, but obviously Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Alfred, and Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon, and on and on and on. So we felt we had to take a show and kind of look back at the series and just honor the fact that it's, to this day, it's still highly regarded, not just as a cartoon, but just a great show in general. Well written stories, great acting. Granted, it's voice acting, but it's still awesome, and just the look and everything. So that's what we're going to be discussing this week. Who would like to go first and give their thoughts?
Well, if I may.
I kind of figured you might lead off on this one.
Me too.
This was, like you said, groundbreaking. The series was astounding. It had a style of art that was different from what had preceded it. The characters did not have four fingers, as most of the cartoon did. It gave a dark persona to Batman. I should say that it carried on the persona of Batman that was created by the Michael Keaton films. It successfully brought it to television and kept it at a pace where the younger set could sit and watch and enjoy. They relied on several of the characters that were previously shown in the comics, which doesn't harm it because people know who the Joker, Two-Face, Clayface, and some others are. Yet it expanded a bit on storylines where a new character may be introduced. They may only last one episode, but they were memorable also. If I remember, the first episodes were on Leather Wings. Is that right?
Yes.
Where you met Man-Bat. And that was a two-parter to start. So I remember watching, and I was mesmerized. I was so pleased that they could put this kind of cartoon out there for adults and children. And at that time, I didn't know which way I sat. I couldn't tell you if I was giddy because it was a kid or an adult. They gave you new storylines. Yes, they did have a couple that were taken from comic books, but that was a rarity. And I applaud them for that. The cast was widespread, and it expanded when it became the Batman Adventures. So it was good stuff, and it's available on DVD now. It's well worth the time and investment, that's for sure.
It is also available if you have Amazon Prime.
Yes.
Well said.
Yep. Good night, everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
Go
Oh no, you're not done with us yet, people.
ahead, Mikey.
All right. Um, yeah, this was very much groundbreaking. I was in college when this started, and admittedly, my TV choices ran a bit towards the juvenile at the time, but not. It depended. I mean, it depended. There were. I find that a lot of the cartoons that I got into, and I'm probably weird for this, but a lot of the cartoons that I still remember and enjoy to this day, I got into when I was in college. Most people watched a lot of TV when they were kids. Most people my age watched a lot of TV when they were kids. I didn't. It wasn't a big deal to me. So I didn't get into like all the stuff in the 80s. So, I mean, my cartoon teeth were cut. I mean, other than watching like Looney Tunes and the Three Stooges and Tom and Jerry and all of that, but my animation teeth were cut with stuff like Batman the Animated Series and Animaniacs and Tiny Toons and stuff of that nature, which was coming out when I was, like I said, late high school, early college. And this was definitely this definitely stood out in that group because, yeah, it was dark. Um, I mean, Les said it took on a lot of the darkness of the Tim Burton films. I actually think to an extent it went further, and it definitely, I really, really liked the way it went with the stylized kind of Art Deco thing.
Hmm.
That was, oh man, for my money, one of the best characters in that series was Gotham City. I mean, and there were times when they weren't in Gotham, but when they were in Gotham, that the just the backgrounds are amazing, and boy, yeah. So far, neither one of you have wanted to touch the voice talent thing. Holy crap! That would be mainly because if we did touch the voice talent thing, we'd be here for 6 episodes, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure nobody wants that. But yeah, because it was just, I mean, that was almost unprecedented too, to have that many established actors doing voice work on your Fox Kids network animated show, because that's where it started out. I mean, they ended up putting it on the main network, but it started off on Fox Kids, and that was kind of at the beginning of Fox Kids. There weren't a whole lot of kids networks at that point. But yeah, it's just the list of talent is, I mean, it's just it's almost obscene how many honestly amazing lead actors and actresses are on this list. I mean, it's God, unbelievable. But I'm babbling about the cast list here.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, if we're gonna throw favorite episodes out, well, we'll probably throw favorite episodes out later. But so I'll hold that. But yeah, and so this is, I mean, not only was it a groundbreaking, borderline grown-up slash kid show, um, it was also you move beyond the time frame, the early to mid '90s. It's very this show is very influential in terms of comics and TV animation. I mean, it has had a huge impact on. I mean, it basically created the DC animated universe,
Hmm.
which they've gone on and made feature length animated movies, very, very good ones ever since. I mean, and they're still putting out good ones. And so, I mean, it kind of almost relaunched um, Warner Brothers Animation because they hadn't done much in 20 or 30 years since they had shut down the Looney Tunes stuff.
Right.
And so, I mean, they hadn't really gotten entirely out of it, but they hadn't really been trying all that hard either for like most of the 70s and 80s. I mean, there was some stuff, but yeah, and this catapulted it back into the forefront. So yeah, very, very, very influential.
Yeah. There's a couple things I want to jump on real quick. Yeah, definitely the look, the Art Deco film noir look of not only the city but the characters, uh, everything. It was so unique. It had never been seen before, yet it looked familiar. That that was impressive. We've already touched on the voice casting, so I would be remiss if we didn't mention the name Andrea Romano, the casting director for not only this show but just about all the DC animated projects, who recently retired, and boy, that's gonna hurt losing her.
Yeah, she is just a stellar career, and if you don't have to listen to a whole lot of voice actors talk before you get the picture, get the impression she was really great to work for.
One other name I want to throw out there that we have not mentioned yet that deserves to be thrown out there is Shirley Walker, who did the music for the series, or did a majority of the music, and incredible sounding shows. She used a little bit of the Elfman, God damn, Elfman theme from the first film, or from the Burton films, but 99.9% of the rest of it was her, and it caught the vibe not only of those films, but it was also separate enough to actually to fit with the show perfectly. And I think we would need to mention her as well, because unfortunately,
it does a lot to add to the feel of that show, and the
yes, it does.
Feel is a big part of that show.
Yeah, unfortunately, she's no longer with us, but it was amazing. It helped. It definitely helped make the show a success, because it all worked. It all worked.
Mm-hmm. There is hardly a bad episode in the bunch.
No.
When I first saw it, I kind of did one of those head shakes that Warner Brothers and the others were known for.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it and said, going to the style, I said they have automobiles and they have modern conveniences, yet the city is being patrolled by blimps.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It astonished me. And I said, this is tremendous. This is how a cartoon should be created.
Yep. Who'd have thought blimps? But you know what? It worked.
It did.
It fit in beautifully with that, because with that Art Deco thing, because you're kind of it's great in that it sort of blends into, and I think one of the reasons it feels so familiar is because it blends into multiple different decades worth of style.
Right.
Because you get that Art Deco, that basically straight out of the 20s look. And a lot of the cars and stuff were from that. And the rest of the cars kind of had more of a 50s type look to it. And you get that in some of the costumes. Well, I say costumes. Basically, the clothes that were drawn. I guess technically it's still costuming. I mean, they probably had costume designers. But anyway, a lot of that there's a lot of 50s vibe there as well, in addition to the 20s vibe. And then with the blimps, that's borderline steampunk.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird, but visually it fits right in with that 20s vibe. It's like a late version of that. And yeah, it's like I said, one of the, for my money, one of the coolest characters in the whole thing is Gotham City itself.
Yep.
It just looks cool all the time, no matter what they do.
And I think Burton established that in his movies. because you remember the overhead trains, things like that, that were depicted in his movies. And it just gave it that much deeper a resonance for the whole movie. And I agree with you. In the TV series, they carried it on.
Oh yeah, they ran with it. They just went nuts with it. It was great.
Okay, well, you already mentioned it, so let's go ahead and discuss what was your favorite episode or episodes. I know it's gonna be hard to pick.
Well, since I'm the one that brought it up.
What's that?
Since I'm the one that brought it up, I suppose it's only fair that I go first.
Okay.
And I have to. You're right. It is tough, and there are a ton of really good episodes. If I'm going to narrow it down to one, I'm going to go with The Grey Ghost.
Yeah, that was on my list.
Just on so many levels. For one, you've got Adam West. How cool is that? And it's just a really nice story. It just works so well on so many levels. Are there other great ones? Absolutely, but that's the one. I have to say that's the one that probably moved me the most.
Yeah, that was one that it worked on like you said, it worked on so many levels. That great story. It was wonderful piece of casting of getting Adam West in there and as the Grey Ghost, who was one of the inspirations for Batman and all that. So yeah. But how about you, Les?
I would say my favorite was Almost Got Him.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's one for me too.
Where the villains were sitting around playing cards, talking about how the time they almost got him. The funny part was, of course, Batman was there in disguise, and he took them down again. But I loved it because they told the individual stories. Each was 2 or 3 minutes long, and you had like 6 stories. So it filled your time frame, and then to have Batman unveil himself and take them out was a kid's dream. Let's just have fun with it.
Mm-hmm. With a little comic relief from Killer Croc along the way.
Right.
Yes.
All right. I've got a couple. I've got more than a couple because you've already mentioned 2 of the ones that would have been on my list. One is Heart of Ice, which was the first appearance of Mr. Freeze in the show. And that set up the whole thing of his origin of he was doing it out of revenge for what happened to his wife and all of that. It was such a well-written story. And of course, that one was done by Paul Dini. It actually won an Emmy.
Nice.
So,
from a show that won a lot of Emmys.
True. Another one that I loved that was really cute, but it was a great story too, was I've Got a Batman in My Basement.
Oh,
y'all remember that one?
Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah, that was totally fun.
Where the teenager was hiding Batman from the Penguin until he was able to recover and get back in the game. That was a fun one. There's a lot of fun ones. That's another thing about the show. There's going to be some that are really kind of lighthearted and fun, and then some that are kind of pretty intense, and then a lot of drama. It was wide ranging, and that's awesome. Not a lot of shows can do that.
Right.
And I guess we need to mention it. There is another episode that we should probably mention called Joker's Favor. And there's a reason why we should mention that one, don't you think?
Which one is
Please, tell me, Uncle Thomas.
That is the first appearance of Harley.
Oh, right. That one.
That was the one where the Joker gets the guy to do him a favor and then wants to return the favor. Right?
Yeah.
I believe. So, and that was the first appearance of Harley, and that was a story that was written by Paul Dini. So this is also Harley's 25th anniversary of her birth.
Her 25th birthday. Yay, she can rent a car now.
Woo!
Doesn't have to steal one.
Right. Absolutely. I have to say, I really enjoyed I think it was just called Harley and Ivy. The one where the two of them teamed up. That was fun.
Yeah. Well, you can see how Harley got very popular from that show.
Oh, yeah.
You can definitely see that.
Yeah, very quickly.
I can't remember who voiced her originally. Do you remember?
It was Arlene Sorkin.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Until very recently, or out into the games, it was Arlene Sorkin.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a character that expanded beyond the cartoon show.
Obviously, yep.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most popular characters in DC right now.
I'd say so.
I think that's fair to say.
And I think we should mention another voice actor. We don't want to leave out so many of them, but
there are so many.
I know. Mark Hamill is the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Les today. I did not know this, but apparently this is old news. They actually had someone else cast the Joker, but they had to fire him because he had bronchitis. And then they hired Mark Hamill. Did you know that, Mikey?
I did not know that until I saw it online today.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not at all surprised that was their first choice. That first choice, of course, being Tim Curry.
Oh, God. Could you imagine what that would have sounded like?
That would have been a different show. I mean,
those
episodes would have been very different because, man, I mean, as much as Hamill embraced the kind of the crazy,
mm-hmm.
Tim Curry would have done the menacing so much, and it would have been so amazing.
Yeah, I think it would have been. I heard that and I was like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. It would have been different, but it would have been awesome. I think it would have been awesome. But I'm happy with what we got because Hamill he incorporated all the forms of Joker. He went from the mischievous clown all the way down to the homicidal maniac. He could turn it on a dime. And they captured it in animated form so well. It's kind of hard to imagine anyone else doing it. Although I can kind of imagine Jim Curry.
if you had to imagine somebody else doing it, Tim Curry's a pretty good choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. But and I wonder the thing I would be concerned about with Tim Curry would be would he be able to do that range the way Hamill did? And I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm not sad we got Mark Hamill, that's for sure.
No, believe me, I'm not either.
He pumped new life into the Joker across the media. I mean, it wasn't just in this show. I mean, he made the Joker popular again in the comics. Not that he ever really stopped being popular, but was there not a bit of a resurgence there?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that when they first announced that they were going to do a animated version of The Killing Joke, the fans said, okay, you got to get Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill to reprise Batman and Joker. You got to, and they did it. I mean, Hamill's still doing Joker's voice today, and Kevin Conroy's doing Batman to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's got to say something.
I think it shows how strong their voice cast was.
Yep.
And in the Batman and Harley film, you had Conroy and who was it? Lauren, who played Robin?
Oh,
LL, I know. It's Lauren, Lore.
Lauren Lester.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And then as Harley was Melissa Rauch from Big Bang Theory.
Right.
And hers was a bit different, but it fit for what they were presenting. It fit.
She had done
The Joker is all over the place with Hamill. And I could see that being done by Curry too, but I'm not going to say that he's going to try the voice pitches that Hamill tried. I can see him doing a little more subtle presentation.
Right, subtle and darker.
Yes, I mean, the man did it, so by doing a deadly clown there, I think he can pull off a menacing Joker.
God, I am looking at this voice list and I'm like,
it's ridiculous.
I'm just like, there was not a bad casting anywhere.
There's a ton of, honestly, no shit, A-list stars.
Yes.
And they're in these roles where, they only played these roles 2 or 3 times. And you're like, how did they possibly talk these guys into doing this? It's unbelievable.
I mean, oh my God, David Warner as Ra's al Ghul, and it was perfect.
Oh yeah, he was Oh yeah. Michael Ansara as Mr. Freeze was
right.
I mean, just I get the chills. I mean, and sorry, bad pun, but I legitimately, that character. I mean, it's just awesome. I'm gonna try not to make any more cold jokes there, but it's just awesome. I mean, Roddy McDowall.
Oh God, as the Mad Hatter, and he was once again all of them were perfect. It was such great casting, and it worked. Adrienne Barbeau as Catwoman.
Paul Williams as the Penguin.
Right.
Ron Perlman as Clayface.
Yeah.
I mean, John Glover as the Riddler. I have to say what you want, but that for me, that was the Riddler. Oh my God, it was just awesome.
This version of the Riddler was the first time I actually found the character interesting.
Right.
Not
just
the goofy,
interesting, but again,
he was
menacing.
Yes, he was a threat.
He was a threat.
He wasn't a goofball running around giggling. No offense to Frank Gorshin, I love his portrayal too, but this was actually you could see why Batman was stumped at times. And one of the lesser known villains, Rupert Thorne, voiced by the great John Vernon. He was awesome.
You say lesser, but I mean he was there.
He was there, but I mean he's not one of the bigger names as some of these others.
He was a crime boss and not a supervillain, but
right.
He was
right.
He was still he gave Batman some trouble.
Oh yeah.
Over time.
I know.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there was any part of that show that was subpar. I think not everything worked, because nothing always works all the time, but man, just...
way more hits than misses.
Definitely. Way more home runs than strikeouts.
You look at the opening scene, you hear the music that they first play. and then they go to the action immediately. To me, it drew me in because I saw the first 2 episodes at one of the conventions here in Dallas. As a preview, they showed the first 2 episodes, and it was extremely well received. But just the music itself, every time I hear the music, I start gearing up for the episode.
Yep.
The fight scene at the first of it. And when Batman lands on the roof and starts to rise, that for some reason just struck a chord and said, this is good. This is really good.
Not only him rising up, but then him squinting the eyes. You're just like, oh shit.
Yeah. I don't want to be on that rooftop right now. Thank you anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whose idea it was for that opening sequence, but that is just an amazing mood setter. I mean, that's like the palate cleanser you need to get ready for the show.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, I agree. It's just perfect. And that they would do that for like a solid minute without like incorporating the opening credits somehow. That to me is mind blowing. I mean, I'm just shocked that they would do that without having credits rolling at the bottom or something. I mean, maybe unobtrusively, but they did that, and they ran it nearly every episode. And it was just this, I don't know, 60-ish second little animation piece just to set the tone with no other anything else. It's just that and that alone. That's just amazing. They wouldn't do that now. They wouldn't do it now. As well as it worked then, they wouldn't do it now.
And then they would go straight to the title of the episode.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
From that, you went to the title of the episode, and it started. There was no commercial break. And they used that also for the Superman series. You had the action, they went to the title, you started the story.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it that did Batgirl on the animated series? Who voiced that?
Batgirl was Melissa Gilbert, according to this list.
Yep.
Okay.
Another pretty big name, really.
Yep.
Yes. I recall maybe one episode that was taken from a comic book, but they did it justice, and that was The Laughing Fish, which included Mark Hamill as the Joker, and I think it was Marshall Rogers was the artist on the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did the story justice because it was pretty close to the comic, yet it was entertaining all the way through.
Well, it's not only. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Well, I was just going to say, not only was it borrowing from that particular issue, but it also borrowed from the Joker's five-way revenge. The ending came from that issue, which was done by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
Yes.
Where the whole thing with the shark at the end. So they borrowed a little from the comics, not a whole heck of a lot. Like you said, maybe 0.05%, and that may be still kind of high. They may borrow some stuff as inspiration. That was obviously one because it's 2 stories. There was I almost got him. That was kind of inspired by another story, and then I kind of remember one where I can't remember the title of it. That was one where the kids were around the campfire and they were telling their Batman stories. And then Bruce comes out at the end dressed up as Batman, and everybody just goes, "Oh yeah, whatever. We know it's you, Mr. Wayne." I remember that being a comic story because I remember reading that one. But that's about it. That I can recall going, yeah, I know that's from the comic book. But that's about it. But you're talking about 80 something episodes.
Yeah.
Now some of them were 2 or 3 parters, but still, that's a very low percentage.
Do you guys remember the one where was it that one where the kids were talking about Batman and it was done in the different styles?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because one was more like an alien and one was like a monster or that kind of thing.
Well, the one I'm thinking of, one of them was in the Frank Miller style, and they had Dick Sprang style, they had Bob Kane style. Each of the little stories had a different take on it.
Yeah.
And I thought this is great because they brought in Miller as part of it.
Well, I know they did a story like that, and then there was one of the animated movies where they essentially did kind of the same thing. So but I think we're both on the same page. That's from one of the episodes of the show. How about a Joker Christmas? Y'all remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That set a tone.
Yeah.
That's for sure, because that was very early.
Yeah.
That was one of the first. That was one of the first few.
Yeah, because that was with the first actor that was doing the voice of Alfred. He was later replaced by Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. for a majority of the show. Because I always thought it was funny, because it was supposed to be kind of a quiet night and all that, because it's taking place Christmas Eve, and they were going to sit down and watch It's a Wonderful Life, and Bruce had never watched it
Bruce said he'd never seen
before.
it before. Yeah.
It's not ridiculously cheery, is it? Oh, Lord. Wonderful show.
Now, if I can ask about Harley.
Well, you can ask. Doesn't mean we'll answer, but go ahead.
We'll try.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My question is, Harley and go. Okay, no response. No.
Wow.
With Harley, we talked the fact that she has expanded so much in the time that she has been introduced. She's gone from her own comic. She did a Catwoman type transformation. She was a villain, and then she's an anti-hero. She's got her own book. She's been in movies. She's been in animation. She's been in novels. So this, I think, is the staying power of a character. This is a character that's going to stick around for quite some time. That's how I see it.
She had a nerve, that's for sure. Whether that was as sidekick to the Joker, or playing off of the Joker, or playing off of Batman, or playing off of someone else like Poison Ivy. I mean, if nothing else, she kind of proved to be really versatile, even within the animated series. So, how far you want to go? I mean, how crazy she really is. I mean, they even played with that in the animated series. I mean, some of those episodes, you get the impression that maybe she's not quite as crazy as she lets on. She even almost goes straight at one point in one of the episodes, if I remember, or was that somebody else? Well, I think they did that with Ivy too at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was the one episode where Harley actually was released from Arkham. I mean, it didn't last long, but you know,
obviously, yeah,
not long at all. But yeah, it was. Yeah, so they gave her a versatility somehow. I don't know. I guess more than one of the writers kind of latched onto her, thinking, "Hey, this is a cool character. Let's see what we can do." Turns out they could do quite a bit, really.
And, well, they did that with Ivy too, because if I remember correctly, Ivy was pretty much handled as a just a villain in the books, and then with this show, they really kind of start pushing the whole, well, she's doing it to save plant life. So there's a little bit of a more good intention, but she's going about it the wrong way. I don't remember them doing it in the comics until the show came along.
Until after,
I could
right.
I could be wrong, but that seems to be the way I recollect it. Do you agree, Les?
Yes, and of course, later in the comics, she became Harley's best bud.
Depending on what books it may be a little bit more than that.
I think they decided to make her a person that you cared for more after it was miserably shown in a movie, which should be forgotten. I think that Harley's good intentions finally were brought to the attention of the public, just like you were saying. The reading and viewing public decided, oh, okay, she's got an agenda, and it's not to kill everybody like some of the characters were believing. It was effective.
Okay. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
It's definitely worth checking out. For those of you who have been living under a rock and haven't already.
Yep, the one or two of you.
And I'm not just saying that because I recently watched most of them. So this is cool because, like I said, I've seen a lot of these recently, like in the last 6 months. But yeah, there's like I said, there's a lot more hits than misses, a lot more. Even the slow episodes are good. It's not all punching things. There's a lot of punching things, but there's a lot of other stuff too. Good stuff.
And I think it's all memorable.
Mm-hmm.
All I have to say is happy birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you.
Yep, definitely thank you.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, when we come back, we'll have our weekly picks. And we're back. It's time for weekly picks, and I am leading off this week. And for my first pick, I am going with DC Comics and Action Comics number 987. Written by Dan Jurgens and art by Victor Bogdanovich. This is the first chapter of The Oz Effect, and we finally discover who Mr. Oz is. He's been around for a few years. He's been kind of in the shadows, and then with Rebirth, he came a little bit more visible. And we will finally find out who he is. There's certain websites who have been posting who they think it is or who they've been told who it is. So, yeah, that's been going on for weeks, so please stay away from those if you don't want to know. You rather wait and read. I can't wait to find out for certain. I have my theories. I have read those websites, and if it is who they say it is, it's definitely going to be one that's kind of, what's the word I want to say? It's definitely going to be a game changer. You know, certain publishers say, "Hey, this is a world changing event." If this is who it is, then yeah, this is definitely going to be it. Although they're not saying that, but they're saying it's going to change Superman's world, though.
The way I see it, if it does come out who belief is,
Yeah.
it's going to change more than Superman.
No, this is going to be a total WTF.
Yeah. Why the face?
That's right.
Okay.
Alrighty, Mikey's up next.
I am up next. I don't know how I can follow that, but
Oh,
my
you can.
my first pick is an Image title, and it is Birthright number 26. And this is the beginning of a new arc for this book. I have probably talked about Birthright before because it's an awful lot of fun. It is a really wild fantasy story, which is definitely for grown-ups. Not the least of which because it is written by Josh Williamson,
Yep.
with art by Andre Bresson, and like I said, new story arc, and this has been a long time favorite of mine. So I definitely think people should pick it up. I don't want to go too much into the story itself because, well, one, it's the beginning of a new arc, and two, man, read the last trade and check it out anyway.
It's been a very interesting and fun series. I agree. I mean, I'm to a degree, I'm still kind of in shock after the very first story arc. So
It's a wild one. I mean, it's
yeah,
crazy.
it is.
When an 8-year-old kid disappears
Mm-hmm.
and then shows up a year later, fully grown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild start.
Yep.
And that was just the beginning.
That was only the beginning. Only just the start.
We've only just begun.
There you go. Alrighty.
Okay, before I get too sick, let me say that the stories have been great in that series. They have definitely been ones to sit down and reread. So if you need to find collections, do it.
Yeah, it has done a wonderful job of one-upping itself in terms of twists and turns in the story.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Alrighty, Les, your turn.
My first title is from IDW, and it is a title that both Mike and I think highly of. Brian Clevenger and Scott Wagner bring you another issue of Real Science Adventures. These are the creators of Atomic Robo, and this is Flying She-Devils number 6. It is the final chapter of this story. This is just fun stuff. This is action, and it's for all ages. There's a little bit of history mixed in. It's well worth the $3 or $4 that you pay. They even state that in this one, Sparrow gets her revenge on some Nazis. So you can't miss.
The Sparrow thing has been a really cool backup story for that.
Yeah.
I mean, the She-Devil story is really cool too. But yeah, the Sparrow. If you like World War II secret agent type stories, the Sparrow story is very nice.
Yes.
Alrighty. It is my turn again. And for my second choice, I'm going with Marvel Comics. And Generations, Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel. For the most part, I've been enjoying these Generations one-shots. It's been kind of a nice little heroes, from different time periods, joining forces to deal with a common threat. And if you know me, you know one of my favorite characters is Marvel. And so any chance I get to read more adventures with him, I'm definitely on board. So we will see what happens with this one. It may be the only time we'll see Marvel for a long time, but who knows? Maybe not. They've been teasing a return of an icon in the Marvel Legacy one shot that's coming out here in a few weeks. So could that icon be Marvel? I mean, we got a Captain Marvel coming, and Marvel has been tied to Captain Marvel's origin from the get-go, and they still do it. They've done it in the animated shows. Will they do it for the movie as well? We'll just have to see.
Could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to agree with you, Thomas. Marvel was one of the good space characters that Marvel Comics came up with.
Yep.
So it would be nice for his return and possible more interaction, not just a hi, here I am, and we'll see you in another 10 years.
Yeah. I hope so, but we'll just have to see. So, Les, you're no, Mike's up next. I'm sorry.
Don't be skipping me, man. Well, I mean, I don't care, but I'm next. So, oh wow, I have another Image title. I didn't even realize that. I actually legitimately didn't realize it because I was flipping around a lot through the list. But anyway, I'm not making excuses. They're putting out 2 good books this week, at least. There's probably a ton more than that. Anyway, Ghost Station Zero. This is number 2. This is a 4-issue series. And this is the next arc in the Codename Babushka series, I guess, now, since there's 2 arcs. If Dynamite wasn't putting out so many cool James Bond books, I would have no trouble saying that this series is, and it is ranking up there as one of the best quote-unquote James Bond comics going right now. Babushka is a former Russian mob boss, sort of, and borderline royalty, sort of. She's very complicated, but she's also a complete badass, and pulls very much James Bond-like stuff all the time. This is written by Anthony Johnston and drawn by Shari Chankama, and is a whole lot of fun. If you're into crime stuff, if you're into secret agent, super spy type stuff, this is a good book to pick up.
Very cool.
It is. I agree with it.
Alrighty, Wes, now it is your turn.
Now it is my turn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to speak of Retcon number 1 from Image Comics, brought to you by Matt Nixon and Toby Cypress. What's unique about this one is it's about the reboot of a comic book miniseries that never existed. And what they're doing is they're bringing you an all different issue number 1. This is going to involve time travel. So just be ready to be taken here and there to see how everything pieces together. I'm sure it's going to be a bit erratic to start, but I think that if you hold on, this will be a pretty strong comic itself.
Yeah, this one's really caught my attention. I'm curious to check it out and find out what's going on with this one. This could be a lot of fun. You agree, Mikey?
Oh, I'm sure I'll check it out. Yeah.
Alrighty. I believe we have all have honorable mentions. So for my honorable mention, I'm going with Titan Comics, and it's Wolfenstein number 1. And this is a new, I believe it's going to be just a miniseries, but it could be ongoing. We'll just have to see. Based off the video games Wolfenstein. So BJ Blazkowski, we're going to be seeing his adventures again, battling Nazis in World War II. This is written by Dan Waters, who's done some of the Assassin's Creed stories for Titan as well. So it could be interesting. I've not played. I've not played some of the more recent games. I was definitely played the old ones, the ones from back in the '90s, the original versions, and was a fan of that game. I've not played the version since then, but I've seen some of the gameplay, and it looks like it's a lot of fun. So I'm hoping this could be kind of an action-packed little series here.
Oh, I imagine so.
Yep. Alrighty, Mikey.
Okay. My honorable mention is from Valiant. See, it's not all Image this week. The trade for the second arc of Britannia is coming out this week. And I really like this series, and I think people should read it. And I think a lot of people like it because it's sold out quite a bit. They've done a lot of reprintings of Britannia books. It is the story of a Roman soldier who essentially had to quit being a Roman soldier, but when he basically kind of a nervous breakdown type thing, and the way he recovered was the Church of Vesta kind of stuck him in a library and gave him a bunch of books on what in Roman times, because this is set in Rome, set in the reign of Nero, would be some pretty impressive detective stuff. And so he becomes kind of almost a Sherlock Holmes type, except set in ancient Rome. And there's a little bit of supernatural stuff going on, and a whole lot of personality stuff, and a whole lot of class type stuff. And it's a very, very well layered story every time out. A lot of fun.
Cool.
Very nice.
Yep. It's been an interesting series. Both the first miniseries and this one, and hopefully there will be more to come. We'll see.
I bet there will be. We'll see, though.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Les.
What I've got is a book from DC. It's the Harley Quinn 25th Anniversary Special. This is one of two books that DC is releasing about Harley and her 25th year. This one features the talents of Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti, Joe Quinones, Chad Hardin, Chip Zdarsky, Paul Dini, among others. And what it is a collection of stories by some of the talent that have done Harley, and some of those that have never worked on Harley before. It's one of those books similar, I would say, to a release DC did years ago of Harley being drawn by various people. Do you recall this, Thomas? The book where somebody would do about 2 pages, and then they ran like a 48-page book or something with various writers and artists getting through it. Yeah, I've got a feeling this is going to be similar, but with complete stories. So this is one of my favorite characters also, and I am going to say I'm signed up for this one.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Timely.
Alrighty. Yeah, very timely. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Any special mentions or shout-outs this week?
Nothing springs to mind.
Okay. You, Les?
No, sir, not here.
Okay. All right. Well, you will turn to our regular shout-outs. First off, to Manny the Martyr for the our music, our intros and intermission music. We appreciate their support and letting us borrow their their songs. You go to our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Click on the podcast tab. You will see their logo. That will take you to their site where you can check out some of their music. We'll also have a link on our show notes. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. We also want to thank the fine men and women of Podern Family on Twitter for our support. They have been gracious enough to retweet our links, and we've been returning the love as best as I know. Mike's been doing it. I've been doing better. I've been doing better. So if you're looking for any kind of a podcast, it doesn't matter whatever the subject matter, go to Twitter. You don't necessarily have to have an account, and just do a search. Hashtag Podern Family is one word, and have fun. You'll find your podcast. So thank you, gang, for your support. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. Thank you for checking out our previous episodes. It's much appreciated. We always value your feedback. If you have any kind of comments, questions, suggestions, concerns, whatever, please feel free to contact us. There are several ways you can do that. You can go to our website once again. That's www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, and go to our About Us page, and you can fill out a form there. Or you can just shoot us an email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can contact us through social media. Please feel free to follow us on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. You can follow us there and then shoot us a message if you like. We're obviously on Twitter, at Fellowship Geeks. Feel free to follow us there and shoot us a message or a shout out or whatever you like to do. Mikey and I have our own personal Twitter accounts, so feel free to follow us there if you like. Mike is at Mikey Geek, and I'm at Tom TC Geek. And wherever you download this episode and prior episodes, whether it's through iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or just listen to us on YouTube, please feel free to rate us, whether through whatever system they have, whether it's stars or thumbs up, thumbs down, or whatever. Please do that. We would be much appreciated. And if you have a couple extra minutes, a review would be awesome as well. And I guess question of the week would be your favorite Batman the Animated Series episode, or if you love the show, what part of it was do you love the most about it? Something like that.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Well, it's easier than you could have said it easier than I did, but.
Well, maybe.
And as always, we are looking for questions for a future Q&A episode. I know we just released one last week, but we're always looking for questions. So if there's something you want us to answer on a future episode, please, by all means, just scroll back a little bit. There's all the contact information. Send us a question our way, and we may use it and give you a shout out for the question. It's much appreciated. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up this week?
Just thanks, everybody.
Same here. Appreciate you listening.
Thank you, folks, for listening. It's much appreciated. And until next time, read more comics and support your local stores. We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time.